It's been a rough couple weeks in crypto the last couple weeks. So, guys, I've been making my content for basically newcomers and beginners. But if you've been in crypto for the last month or two, you've been through the ringer. You are a veteran now, so it's time for me to step up my game, and it's time for me to step up my content and really give you guys some stuff that can help you through this period and help you through this turbulence. So, guys, look, they you always hear the terminology. You buy it low and you sell it high, right? You buy it low and you sell it high, and they make it sound like it's so easy to do, right? It's just so easy to do. So why isn't everybody rich, right? The reason everybody isn't rich is because buying it low is not easy. The last couple weeks, this is what buying it low looks like. All right, when you buying low, it's as Warren Buffett says. If you guys follow Warren Buffett, he don't tell you to buy it when it's low. He tell you to buy it when there's blood in the street. This is what it looked like when there's blood in the streets, guys. All right, and so this is why education and investing and education in crypto right now is so important. Education in crypto is far more important right now than any little dollar value that you may make in the next coming months. You really need to educate yourself on how these cryptos operate, how they function, how they work, how they interact with the exchanges, wallets, Web3, metaverse, so forth and so on. All right. So the first thing I want to do is give you guys some value for watching my video. All right. And this is the book that I read, Crypto Trading Pro by Alan T. Norman. This is the book that I read when I got into crypto. I don't think there's a better book on the market for all of investing. I don't think there's a better book on the market. So I recommend that you read this book. If you don't like reading and you don't want to read this book, because this book is slightly outdated today in today's market, take my cryptocurrency class. My cryptocurrency class is linked below. Because those of us in crypto, I would be lying to you if I told you that we knew how it was going to come. We didn't know how it was going to come, but we knew these drops in the market was going to come. We knew they were going to come, right? But we didn't know how we would get here. We didn't know it would be Three Arrows Capital, and we didn't know the Celsius wallet would go under, which was up until that point one of the most trusted names in crypto. We didn't know this new guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, would come along and pull this FTX nonsense. We didn't know how we would get here, but we knew that we would be here. And in part, that is because of education, guys. So educate yourself in these cryptos and educate yourself in this technology. So the video that I'm about to present to you is the conclusion from my cryptocurrency course. This is not a I told you so video. This video is just evidence that I completed my course, I think 6, 7, 8 months ago. I completed my course, and this video was at the end of my course when I completed my course. And so this is just a little documentation to let you know that the veterans in the crypto space knew that at some point we would end up here, right? And with that said, this is when you buy low, guys. We may go lower. We may go significantly lower. but this is how you buy low. All right. This is when you buy low, when it's ugly, when you got to get down in the mud and find the jewels and find the diamonds. This is how you buy low, guys. All right. And with that said, I present you guys the video. All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the class today. This is our final class, final session together. This is the end of the class. See, I got my Wild West theme going here, and I will explain that a little bit later. First of all, first things first, let me get this part out of the way. I have more on this just in a second, but for using Chief Sitting Bull's face, I want to donate 10% of my proceeds from this class to the Great Sioux Nation. And if somebody is to get in touch with me, we can make that happen. The next thing is, guys, I want to congratulate you guys on making it to the end of the class. You guys been with me for 10 hours now or more. And or maybe a little less. We'll see how these last couple of videos turn out. But you guys been with me for a minute now. If you made it here to the end of the class and you've watched all the videos, I want to thank you guys first for taking my class. And I want to thank you guys for giving me your time. And if I can give a little lesson on that, guys, there's nothing. I hope all you guys make $1 billion who watch this class. But if you do make that billion, just know that there's nothing on earth more valuable than your time. And so the fact that you've given me some of your time, I am very appreciative of that, and I thank you. And so you guys have made it to the end of the class. If you're here at the end, congratulations. And replay these videos and watch them as much as you need to get the message. The last thing I want to say is that these classes are just the tip of the iceberg, guys. There's so much more information. There's so much more you can learn in this space. And I just wanted these classes to really serve as a guide or as an introduction for new people and maybe people who have been in the space for a while might learn a little something too. But just once again, guys, appreciate you taking my class and appreciate you spending your time with me. So with that said, I'm new on Udemy, guys. I don't know how the whole procedure works with the end of the class. So I just wanted to thank you guys and congratulate you guys for making it to the end of the class. And my last class comes with one last little small lesson, okay? And that's why I wanted to donate that 10% to the Sioux Nation. And I wanted to thank you guys for taking my class. Before I get into this last little lesson here, because I'm gonna probably forget to do all of that by the end. So, guys, the conclusion here, as you can see, our Wild West theme here is the broken speculator or prospector, whatever you want to call it. And so we're gonna talk about that a little bit. We're gonna discuss that a little bit. And I got some notes here. You're gonna see me looking over at some notes because I got some notes for this part of the class and I wanna make sure I get it right. In the 1800s, guys, there were two very powerful events that happened
that kind of defined the 1800s. One of those events was the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed a people, which freed my people. And that was a very powerful event in the 1800s and in American history. The other event, not so popular or powerful or reported, right, is really not history. We really don't learn much about this in our history books today. And the other event was the Battle at Wounded Knee, which decimated a people. And so I found out through family stories and family lineage that my bloodline is part Cherokee and part Seminole Indian. I've never confirmed that except for through my family stories. I don't need to. My family stories are enough. But with that said, I feel for my brothers to the north, the Great Sioux Nation. That's why I set aside that 10% for them of my class. And in honor of their sacrifice. And so you may be wondering, why would I compare something so trivial as cryptocurrency and making a few dollars to something as powerful as the Emancipation Proclamation, or something so tragic as the Battle of Wounded Knee? You may wonder why I make that comparison. And I make that comparison because, guys, these cryptocurrencies and this blockchain technology, this is not just the next thing. This is not just the next moneymaker. All right. Conquering the Wild West in those days cemented what America was and what it has become. Had things not gone like they went in those times, we might not know the America that we live in today, right? But you may wonder why I compare these two things, and it's because blockchain technology and crypto technology is again, I'll say it again, it's not just the hot new thing to make money. Guys, these cryptocurrencies are going to take us into a new age of existence, a new age of being. And some of you may understand how powerful that statement is. Some of you may not. But these cryptocurrencies and this technology will take us into a new age of being, guys. And so this is a very important time in history. And if you look around you, you can see all kind of crazy stuff going on, from the Ukraine war to what's going on in our economy, to what's going on in Congress, to what's going on between the two parties, to what's going on with China and Russia and the rest of the world map right now. And that signals that this is a very important time in history. And so I said all of that to say that this is the beginning of a new time. And so I just wanted to tell you, based on that, a little story. And so it's a funny thing, guys, about history, right? See, when I was in school, I learned history, right? And I found out later on in life that that's all it was, history. And so one of the reasons that I kind of have the little bit of knowledge that I have to do this section of the class, it's because I read a book called The Indian Wars. I think it was about 17 years ago, something like that. And so I had this idea of American history. I grew up loving those stories from the Wild West. I was born in 1975, guys. So yeah, we still got the Lone Ranger and Tonto and all that stuff when I was a kid. And I love those stories. I love those stories from the Wild West. And I thought that was the Wild West until I bought that book, The Indian Wars, and then I learned the real history of the Wild West. So history is a funny thing, guys, because in school, that's all we learn is history. We don't learn herstory. We don't learn yostory. And we don't learn mystery. We don't learn none of those. All we learn is history. So some of you guys might say, Crypto Prophet losing his mind, huh? To say that in a very simple way, that's all history is, guys, is his story. We should be learning records. We should be learning historical records. The class should be called historical records because all these people have a historical record of their existence. But that's not what we learn. We learn history. We don't learn her story. They didn't teach us her story in school. You guys know how many powerful queens have ruled powerful lands? You probably don't, because you never heard her story. When I was in school, they was so busy teaching me his story that they probably didn't teach me your story. So until I got older and started educating myself, that's when I learned your story. And then that's if you Mexican, Arab, Chinese, Russian, English, British, whatever the case may be. They taught us a lot of stuff in his story, but really didn't teach me your story. And I didn't figure out until I got older and started doing my own research, I damn sure ain't know my story. And so with that said, today I'm gonna tell you a little story. This is my story. I'm gonna teach you some my story today. This is my story. And I don't really care about getting all the facts right, because when they published our history books, they didn't care about getting the facts right. They just made sure we learn his story. But with that said, I'm gonna tell you my own little story today. All right. And so it's going back to crypto and this Wild West theme I'm using. So tell you a little story about the Sioux Indians. And so after the Trail of Tears with the Cherokee, and after the Great Crow Nation was destroyed and wiped out, and down in the western part of the United States, the Apache was wiped out. The Sioux warriors and the Sioux tribe was the last warrior tribe to stand against the U.S. Army, trying to protect their lands. And they paid a terrible price as did all the Indian tribes, paid a terrible price in the establishment of this new country that had already been here. But they paid a terrible price for being the last tribe to stand against the Great American Army at that time. And so what happened to the Sioux was the Sioux had adapted their battle techniques. They learned how to use gunpowder. They learned how to use guns. They learned how to use dynamite. They learned that they had to use these things to have any chance of having proper battle and war with their adversaries. And so they learned how to use all these things. But still, with learning how to use all these things, still didn't have the power and the might to go up against the mighty U.S. Army at that time, who had been battle tested not only through war with the native tribes, but also through the Civil War. Had a battle tested army there, and the Sioux warriors could not compete against that army. So, but they figured out tactics. They figured out hit and run tactics, and they used the land that they knew so well to their advantage. And so they would hit the U.S. Army and different outposts, and they would flee. And what they figured out was to stop this movement into their lands, to stop the destruction of their lands. They figured out that they had to stop the train, right? They had to stop the railroad. So a lot of their tactics turned to blowing up rail lines, blowing up the tracks, blowing up tunnels, and attacking anybody who worked on the railroad, and attacking people who tried to come west. And so they felt this was the only way they could stop the destruction of their lands. And so this cat and mouse game continued for a while. The U.S. Army could never eradicate the Sioux. They could never get rid of the Sioux. And this cat and mouse game went on for a while until the Battle of Wounded Knee. The problem with Wounded Knee is Wounded Knee was not a battle. Wounded Knee was a massacre. And so since they could never catch the Sioux warriors, what the Army did was they caught an encampment at Wounded Knee. I can't remember exactly if Wounded Knee is a river, but they caught a group of Sioux women and children at an encampment at the site of Wounded Knee. And if I remember the story correctly, there were not, if any, there were no soldiers in the encampment. And so the U.S. Army went in and slaughtered between 150 and 300 Sioux women and children. And this battle, so-called battle, is what broke the Sioux warriors, made them come out of hiding. They gave up their arms, and they came to a peaceful agreement, at which time they were given their reservations or given their land, which at the time was really just prison camps. It developed into their land over time, but at the end of the wars, it was just a prison camp. And this event and events in years following proved to decimate the Sioux. And so, but that ain't how this story ends, guys. So we're gonna bring this back to crypto now, right? because after the Sioux were decimated, you would think that this guy right here, this lowly prospector, speculator guy, you would think this was the guy that prospered from the conquering of the Sioux, right? Because once the Sioux was conquered, the railroad was able to continue west. Travel was able to start coming out west because it was a peace agreement with the native tribes. And the West was built. And so you would think this guy right here was the guy that prospered, the guy that helped build that West. You would think this is the guy that made all the money, right? The guy that fought the Indians, fought the Native American tribes in battles. The guy that in some cases went out there and forged relationships with Native American tribes so he could work the land. The guy that battled the wild animals, the guy that dealt with the earthquakes, the guy that dealt with the storms, the snowstorms, the thunderstorms, the tornadoes. You would think that after all of that was done and after all the wars was fought and the lands was conquered, that the guy that did the conquering of that land would be the guy to prosper. This guy that you see on your screen right here. But that's not how it went down, guys. This guy, he got screwed just like the other guys. All right. And so after the West was built and all the railroads and rail lines and tracks were laid and those big pretty trains started rolling out of the East, what came on those big pretty trains coming out of the East were the robber barons, right? And those robber barons, they rolled west on those big pretty trains and they bought up everything in sight. Or they dealed guys like this out of what they had. And well, there's some guys out there to make it, of course. The West is a big place and a lot of land out there. And of course, some of those guys, they made it, they survived. But most of the guys like this got screwed over by the big robber barons. And so why do I make that comparison? I make that comparison because as we go into this new age, guys, this new age of the world, and we go into that new age and these cryptos start to become our currencies. I want you to remember that the last 10 years, it is almost the end of April here, 2022. I want you to remember these last 10, 11, 12 years or so, that the crypto industry was built by a bunch of guys like this, Black, white, Asian, Latino, all colors, all creeds. It was built by this guy, by guys like this, those early speculators that braved the lands and forged relationships with the Native Americans and fought the Native Americans. It was those early people who established the West, or what we conceive as the West, right? And the story is the same in crypto. But I want to leave you with this message, guys. The Sioux have been defeated. All right. Well, let's not say it that way. Because I'm going to lead into regulations here. The battle of Wounded Knee is coming in our space, guys. It is. And I just, it could be the Emancipation Proclamation where they free this space, but my opinion is some form of Wounded Knee is coming. And crypto stands right now as a game of speculation, but it is a game of speculation headed into regulation. All right. And as we go into regulation, somewhere in there, we will have the battle of Wounded Knee. And after the battle of Wounded Knee, the tracks will be laid, the West will be won. And believe it or not, those robber barons will roll. They will roll west, guys, and they're gonna be looking to buy up everything in sight. And so, I just hope that the good people that built this space and maintained this space for the last 10 years can continue to thrive and survive in this space going forward. And so these are crazy times, guys. And I just wanted you guys to know that these are crazy times moving forward. And if we as people of all creeds and all colors, if we can stop spending so much time learning his story, guys, we may learn our own stories. And so with that said, guys, just want to thank you guys for taking my class. Thank you guys for spending your time with me. And for you guys that I won't see anymore, thank you. For you guys who are into what my next class is going to be, which is going to be a class on sim racing. You guys will get to meet Decatur Player. Again, guys, thank you for taking my class. And see you guys in the next one. Whether that be the next video or the next life. I'll see you guys there.
Hallelujah!